The gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Austin Scott, is recognized now for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Vilsack, I have talked to some of my chemical distributors about the crop protection products. They're telling me that the raw materials are in the country, but the labor shortage is what is creating the backup and the challenges with actually getting the product to the warehouses for the farms. Is that consistent with what you're hearing from the people at the USDA?
Well, we are certainly concerned about the lack of truck drivers, which is why we're working with the Department of Labor and encouraged by their efforts to create an apprenticeship program and to speed up the process to get people behind the wheel and to work with states to issue CDL licenses as quickly as possible. So it is an area that we're concerned about.
I think they're talking about shortages in labor at the manufacturing as well as the trucking shortages and other things. Well, it does concern me that in many cases I feel like people don't recognize how important the timeliness is with regard to the application of crop protection and crop promotion fertilizer products to get the yields that our farmers depend on and we all depend on for our food supply in this country. And so I hope you and USDA will stay on the Department of Transportation, making sure that they understand, and the Department of Labor, and making sure they understand that when we have to have these crop protection products in the field, putting it on 2 or 3 weeks late doesn't work. You were given an additional $10 billion this past fall for disaster assistance for extreme weather in 2020 and 2021. Can you give us an update or any details on where the distribution of those funds stands?
Yes. Let's talk about the $750 million that was allocated for the livestock industry. We're going to take a look at a process by which we can use existing data from the livestock forage program to facilitate payments, and the hope is that those payments will be made to livestock producers sometime this spring. The expectation is that there may be additional need, a second tranche of resources that will be made available with a more detailed application, but we've trying to simplify the process so we can get resources to these farmers as quickly as possible. On the grain side, we hope to use NAP data and RMA crop insurance data to essentially create a pre-filled out application which will speed up the process of a first tranche of resources to those producers, and then a second tranche for shallow losses in areas that weren't covered, folks who didn't have NAP coverage or who didn't have crop insurance coverage. So the goal here is to try to get these payments out this spring.
This spring. So hopefully by the end of April then.
April, May, sometime in that time frame. The key here, Representative, is to make sure that we get it done as quickly as possible, which is why we're simplifying the process and trying to use existing data to speed up the process.
Okay. One last question. The Commodity Credit Corporation. I know there's a tremendous amount of discussion about climate smart agriculture, and the Commodity Credit Corporation, it's my understanding that $1 billion in CCC funds are being used for climate smart agriculture and forestry. How does this fit under the pretty specific enumerated purposes of the CCC? What specific authority in the Charter Act will be using, and can you give us more details on this initiative?
As you well know, the Commodity Credit Corporation, in part, is designed to provide for the promotion of commodities. And what we're hearing and seeing from the industry is the food industry is the need for climate-smart commodities, for sustainably produced commodities in which they can ensure their consumers that what they're purchasing is not harmful to the environment. So we want to be able to help producers create those climate-smart commodities. It falls under, it's either Section 4 or Section 5 of the CCC, and we are very confident that we have the capacity and ability to use this without jeopardizing any of the other needs or reasons for the CCC. This will give, and it's actually farm groups and food groups have basically proposed and suggested this in the Food and Farm Alliance document on climate smart agriculture, suggesting the need for demonstration and pilot projects funded through the CCC, and we're following the prescription of groups like the American Farm Bureau in their advocacy for this. So we feel very confident we have the legal grounds based on the fact that we will be promoting climate-smart commodities.
Mr. Chairman, my time's expired.